I mean, it goes on for ages and ages.
It does, yeah. Okay, okay. I was wondering about that. I went and I was like, oh, wait a minute. This
Yeah,
is
no,
like
it's
a
like,
long time.
yeah, no, I don't know, 50
Ladies
minutes
and
long.
gentlemen, this is my wonderful guest today, Norma Winstone. And it's just very wonderful to have you here.
It's great. Yeah, great to be here. Great to be asked.
Very, very excited. Very nice to have you. And I'm just shifting stuff around so I can see everything. And one more thing I have to shift around. Yeah. Well, tell us about that, actually. What was that we were just watching?
Well, that's Kenny Wheeler's piece called "The Sweet Time Suite," which is on the album, the ECM album, Music for Large and Small Ensembles.
Okay.
And, but that I think is his most popular suite, and that was you can get the arrangement. You can buy the arrangement from his website, and that's what they did in Weimar, in the school in Weimar.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked me to go and sing with them, just to, I suppose, have something of the original piece by having me there. And no, they did really well. It was lovely, and they obviously recorded it and put it on YouTube, and so it's what it was live,
It was so good, and yeah, it's just so it's so significant to me. I've heard you for so long, and loved what you've done for so long that and there's something that people seem to ask you to do over and over again, which is things like that, like a vocalese, I guess you call it, right?
I don't know what you call it, really. I just call it singing. Yeah, singing without words.
Yeah.
People usually say, "Oh, well, you use your voice as an instrument, don't you?" Well, I mean, it is. Actually, it is. And I've always felt that I could never see why the voice couldn't be used as a sound in music. It's a sound, isn't it? Just like another instrument. And often people have asked me, well, do you have a sound? Do you try to sound like any particular instrument? Well, I don't, because
because I am an instrument.
My voice, like your voices sound different than somebody else's. It's my voice, it's my sound. Of course, when I was singing alongside Kenny Wheeler, which I was so lucky to do for many, many years, I think I always tried to match my sound with his when I was singing with him, in unison or something,
Yeah.
harmony pieces. I think I learned a lot about how I wanted to sound from hearing his sound and just trying to match it, because I always hated my sound in the early days.
Oh. Do you think your sound actually changed?
Yes, I think so. Although some people say, "Oh, you just sound the same now as you did when you were young," which is not quite true. But I think that when I started, I was so hell bent on trying to improvise that the thought of how it actually sounded didn't occur to me. I just thought I'd just get these notes out, and I'd hear it back and I'd think, oh, I really don't know how anybody likes it. I didn't like it. And not until actually I recorded for ECM and I heard myself back properly recorded, because I think I hadn't. I mean, recording techniques up to that time weren't so developed as they are now.
Yeah.
Or as they became then. I mean, I'm talking about 77, I think, when we made the first azimuth recording, 1977. And I thought, I heard this sound come out and I thought, wow, they've made me sound much nicer. Well, of course, he was a fantastic engineer and with, things that people hadn't thought of when I'd sung before. Reverb on the voice and helping it, make it sound nice. And it's funny because then I had that sound in my head, and that's how I wanted to sound always.
Yeah.
So it was strange because I then worked on how I was sounding.
Yeah.
When it left me, I tried to make it sound as good as I could.
Yeah.
You've always got the limitations of your own voice, its peculiarities.
Yeah.
But I had a sound in my head that I wanted, I was aiming for.
Yeah.
And that helped, I think.
Yeah. Your intonation is really good. It's just and it's got a quality. I really love when intonation has this core that's good, and then around it has kind of organic stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like that's what I like about your intonation. It turns me on like that. It's great intonation, but it also has this warmth around it that's not, machine perfect,
Yeah, I think that's what, the intonation, I think, was always fairly good.
Yeah.
But to begin with, I hadn't sort of figured out how to make it still sound nice,
Yeah. Yeah.
and warmer.
Yeah.
But it takes time, of course, and everybody's work. Some people are just born with this lovely sound, and
I know.
And others,
I hate them.
like me,
I know.
had to work on it, and you work at different paces as well, on different things. You can't learn everything at once.
Yes.
I found, and yeah, I mean, I can sort of bear to listen to myself more easily now.
Yeah.
Than I could at one time, but
when I've spoken to horn players always talk about their tone. That's I actually not exactly surprised, but impressed, I guess, that horn players, more than like licks or fingering or scales, they really focus on their tone. So I guess that's what that's a big part of what makes people pick somebody to use.
Yes.
Obviously people know your sound and want it because you're a very distinct part, like that what we just heard. That really made the whole piece sound a particular way, to have your voice in there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I started singing wordless stuff really because, going back, I was starting off singing standards, of course.
Yeah.
And I didn't really improvise. If I did improvise, I would still sing the words.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd do whatever it was, and then I'd sing it again with a completely different melody, an improvised melody, but keeping the words.
Yeah.
I think it's because I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know what sound to make for a start. And in fact, I do quite like improvising and having words. I think it makes you think of different ideas.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. And when I've done workshops, sometimes I've got singers to just sing particular words, dark, moon, light, and say how it feels, when you sing those different words, that you're creating a different atmosphere, and you might make a different sound, or you think of a different phrase that goes with that little phrase or something that I might have given them. But no, that's what I was doing. That's how I started, and I think I joined this band called the New Jazz Orchestra. Ian Carr, a trumpet player, he was a lovely man, and he wrote a couple of books. He wrote one on Miles Davis, a very good book on Miles Davis and Keith Jarrett. He died some years ago now, but he heard me somewhere and he said, "Oh, you should sing with the New Jazz Orchestra." And that was run by a guy called Neil Ardley, and he transcribed a lot of the Gil Evans pieces, Evans arrangements. And so I started to do things with them. And the guy on piano with them at the time was Michael Garrick. And he said, "Oh, I've written these songs, would you like to learn them?" He'd written the words and the music. So I took them away and I learned them. And I went to one of his gigs and he had a sextet at the time, two saxophones, trumpet and piano bass drums. And he said, "Would you like to sit in and sing one of the songs?" So I did. And I went to sit down and he said, no, join in on the next piece. Well, the next piece had no words and it was like a one scale thing, like an Indian kind of thing. He said, "Yeah, just join in, take a solo." So I took a wordless solo. And then at the end of the evening, he said, "Well, one of the saxophones leaving. Would you like to join and sing the saxophone pad?" So there I thought, wow, this is really what I've wanted to do. And so I mean, of course, there's no question of changing keys or anything. That was the pad. So I had to sing wherever it was, which extended my range a bit. And because he said, "Oh, I can't change any keys. Come on, you go to this key." And so that was that. And I was doing that. And then I think Mike Westbrook, asked me to join a group. He'd just written this piece called Earthrise, when we just landed on the moon, or your lot had just landed on the moon, and Earthrise. And so we did that. And there was some wordless stuff in that and some things that he'd written words for. And Kenny, I'd met Kenny singing when I was singing free music, which was another story, really, because I'd met John Stevens.
Yeah.
When he was still playing time and changes and everything, he's a drummer, but he decided he'd heard free music and he didn't want to play time and changes or anything anymore. Not the drummers play changes, do they? But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he said to me, "Would you like to?" He started a thing called the Spontaneous Music Ensemble. But he used to organize get-togethers on a Saturday morning, and he'd invite all kinds of people. In fact, Dave Holland used to be there, because that was before he went to join Miles Davis, because he was living in London.
Yeah.
And Kenny Wheeler was there too, and all kinds of musicians. And I had no idea what I was supposed to do. But I thought, well, this is interesting, really. I'd listen, and see. And of course, I recommend it, actually. Not that I really would want to listen to it much, but to be involved in that kind of thing, free music, was a great learning experience, because you have to think of your own ideas and you have to react and respond to what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that. And then Kenny said, "Oh, I've got a broadcast with my big band." Well, it was just a big band that he got together, because nobody could employ a big band. But he had a broadcast, and he said, "I'll write you a standard. I'll do a standard for you." I said, "Oh, okay." And I think he did "I'll Never Be the Same." And I think the next time he had another broadcast, and he said, "Would I like to do it?" And he'd written me in as part of the band. And so I did it, and I thought, I loved it. And I especially loved singing with him.
Yeah.
So lucky. But you see, the thing is, there weren't really many people. Well, there wasn't anybody that I think of, in England at least, that was doing anything like that. I was ready. I wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
So I was kind of ready for it, and lucky that I was asked. And, that was an opportunity to do something that, and finish up doing what I was really happy doing.
Yeah.
I love singing words. I mean, I still do. I mean, I do more of that probably now than wordless improvising.
Yeah.
But it was just an experience, and sometimes when I hear Kenny's music, you can't always hear the voice. I mean, you know it's there, but it seems to have an effect on the overall sound. And I never wanted to stand out. I always wanted to blend.
Yeah.
Because that was, I felt it, not that Kenny ever told you what he wanted. He'd never say a word, you know. You just assume, well, I'm here. He must think it's all right. So,
Right.
and I just always wanted to be part of that sound, whole sound.
Yeah. Wasn't he at, or were you there? I don't even know if you were there. Let's see. Did he die about 7 years ago or so?
He died in September 2014. Yeah, so that's, well.
Yeah, yeah, because when I was in England with Andy, we went to, I guess it was a birthday party for, I can't remember his name. He's a very
Derek Watkins. Derek Watkins.
Yes. Were you there?
No, but I know I remember it was his birthday.
Yeah.
Special birthday around.
Big party.
Because I know somebody said you were there.
Yeah, and Kenny Wheeler was there.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I think his son was helping him. He was in a wheelchair. Yeah, that was yeah. I mean, working with him for so long, that just, wow. What a great experience for you.
Yeah.
You know, especially just coming as a singer, growing through their career and, you know, being attached to Kenny Wheeler. Woo.
Yeah. And of course, then when we started Azimuth, that was even more intense then because there were only 3 of us.
Now, who was in Azimuth?
It was John Taylor's group. It was keyboards, trumpet, and flute and voice.
Okay. Did you
sometimes synthesizer?
Did you make a number of albums?
Yeah, we made let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5 for ECM.
For ECM, yeah.
Yeah, the first 3 were on vinyl, and then the last 2 were on CD. But we did, the third one was with Ralph Towner as a guest. That was very nice.
Wow.
That was called The Longest Day.
Great. We'll have to hear some of that.
Or Day Par, but the Longest Day. I always think of it as The Longest Day because that was the tune that John wrote, which opened it.
Well, we'll have to listen to some of that. And before it goes on too much further, I do want to say hello from a few people. Let's see. Well, you don't know my friend Roland Askerins, but he's a big fan of music and a musician, kind of a hidden musician. Beryl Hart.
Beryl, yeah.
And Andrea Wolper kind of touched down and had to go away and teach. Robin Blakeman is here. Hi, Robin. He said he sang with you in 1970 at Gardner Center.
Wow. In the Gardner in Brighton.
Yeah.
Must have been in Brighton, yeah, the Gardner Arts Centre. Yeah.
Uni of Suck Eggs. I'm not sure what that means, but
South, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
sounds very weird. Then a great singer named Kate Reed.
Oh yeah, I've heard of her.
She's a wonderful singer, and another great singer, Rosanna Eckert. She loves you. And Mark Baldrich, who you probably don't know. Sandy Cummings, a singer in Santa Barbara, and Rosanna Vitro is here.
Oh yes, hello. Wow, I'm very honored.
Oh yeah, and let's see, Tanya Grubbs is a wonderful singer. She loves your career, and let's see, Michelle Lombardi.
Oh yes, yeah, she's from Italy, obviously with a name. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I met her. She was on a course, I think, and she wrote some words to a piece of Kenny's, I think.
Oh.
She wrote to me and said, could she get permission from the family, which she did, I think. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Lisa Rich, great singer.
Lisa, yeah. Hello, Lisa. I was watching her interview with you. I didn't get to the end of it because it was pretty long, but
Yeah, I know, 2 hours. When you're in it, it doesn't seem so long, but when
no.
and then a dear friend of mine who's a really wonderful singer, Mon David. He's a great jazz singer, and in fact, he just came out with a really beautiful duo record with a great pianist, Josh Nelson from here. And yeah, he's great. And probably Jay Clayton is listening, I'm guessing, because she usually does listen. And since you guys are super friends, and also you were in the first, weren't you in the first, what was it called?
Vocal Summit.
Yeah, Vocal Summit.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't in the first one.
Yeah.
That was Jean Lee, I think. And
oh, yes, Jean Lee.
Jean Lee, yeah. And oh, gosh. Anyway, I'm trying to think who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I think that it all changed. And I suddenly got asked to do a gig with them. And with Bobby McFerrin, with Ursula Duchak, Jay, and Bobby. And I mean, I've never done anything quite like it. I didn't, and then of course Bobby
Norma, Jay, Bobby, and Ursula.
And then Bobby made "Don't Worry, Be Happy," and that was that. Goodbye.
Hi, Bobby.
Yeah, but it was nice, and we carried on, and then Michelle Hendricks joined us.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility that we might do something. I don't know, because we a couple of years ago now, we just did a few gigs. Of course, no rehearsal, because we all come from all over the place, and we just got together. There's never enough money to get you there in enough time to rehearse properly. So, but the kind of things is very, very free, very improvised.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and I think somebody recorded it. So somebody wants to put it out. I don't know whether it will happen, but yeah, it'd be interesting if it does.
That'd be fun. Yeah. Hi, Jay. She's here. Jay, sorry, I owe you a phone call. Yeah. Well, gosh, I mean, for me, it's like I basically am coming up like right behind you guys, and you and Jay and Sheila's kind of, I guess, even ahead of that, and Nancy King. It's like, wow, when I discovered you guys, I felt like I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
I was like,
I know what you mean.
God, yeah. Just who was, did you have any mentors or people who you followed? Well,
I mean, the thing is, it sounds obvious, but of course Frank Sinatra was the first. When you say mentors, I mean, I didn't have anybody that I knew that I was learning from, but I learned from recordings.
Yeah.
And of course Frank was the king.
Yeah.
Still is, I think. I mean, I don't hear another singer that male singer that puts across lyrics in the way he did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking about my way, Strangers in the Night. I'm talking
Andy
about
Andy Bay's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there are good people, but because I heard Frank was the first. I mean, I was just a child, and my parents loved him.
Yeah.
And I think I just learned. I didn't know I was learning, but I listened to him so much and focused on what he did, how he did it. And then I heard Lena Horne. My God, what a singer she was! And then Ella, of course, and she was scat singing. And I thought, wow, God, I must wanted to find out what this is, and so I copied it all. But of course, I never felt that I could later on sing that kind of thing, because the syllables felt all wrong to me. The
scatting?
Yeah, the syllables.
Well, they changed, didn't they?
Yeah, but they're right for her, and they're right for lots of people, but they weren't for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't want to do that kind of improvising. Well, I mean, the thing is, I didn't learn sort of bebop kind of stuff. I listened to it a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was very impressed with Paul Desmond. I heard Dave Brubeck's quartet and absolutely loved Paul Desmond, and copied a lot of his solos. I actually didn't know they were improvised. I thought they were all written because they're so clear, and I found myself learning those and singing along, with the records. But then
yeah, right.
I heard Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, and that just freaked me out. I thought, well, this is definitely the kind of thing I want to do. I had no idea how I could do it. I just thought, if you could have a voice in that kind of music, it would be wonderful.
Yeah.
But not just somebody coming in and singing the song and then them all doing what I thought was the interesting stuff.
Yeah.
The arrogance of youth. I didn't realize how difficult it is to sing a song well. So that's what I wanted to do, something like that kind of music. And eventually, I mean, I found somehow I stumbled, like I told you earlier on, sort of stumbled into doing it, to singing without words. And it just sort of grew and grew. And I could never see why you couldn't mix the two things.
Yeah.
Techniques.
Let's see. Oh, yes, of course, Tony Bennett as well. Christine Gittimer said that. And Roland, she's just curious. He's curious. He has a few singers who he loves. One is a Korean singer named Yoon Sun-ye.
Oh, yeah, Sun-ye.
And Tatiana Para. And actually somebody reposted today on my Facebook page this Indian young woman. Have you seen her? She's like crazy good. She's young. She's probably in her 20s or 30s. Oh boy, she's. Let me see if I can. Well, I don't know. I'd have to go look somewhere. But anyway, she's an amazing singer. Oh boy, what did I think?
She's done this sort of Indian classical technique.
Well, yeah, but then she sings, she scats incredibly, and also she sings, difficult material. You'd really like her. She's really something special, and she's come up. I heard more about her through sometimes my interviews are sometimes Clarice Assad. She's a really incredible arranger and writer, Brazilian. Her father is one of the Assad brothers. I don't know if you ever heard of them, guitarists and really amazing. Anyway, Clarice is really an amazing artist, and she also has been interviewing various people, and she interviewed this young Indian woman. Oh, what is her name? Vadi Jashri. Thank you, Roland. Vadi Jashri. Anyway, she's very amazing. So let's play something. I'm gonna torture you. It's not so much of a torture, but it's let's see. Norma Winstone, and then maybe
there's not very good stuff on YouTube, I don't think, me.
Well, there's some. We could also just listen to one of the records.
Oh, what's this? Oh, no, that's a live gig. That one.
That's fine too. Anything.
Well, I don't know.
Now here's Timeless Place, right?
Oh yeah.
Now, that would be nice because so many people have recorded that, and everybody should know that the lyrics are yours. So. I think that would be a really nice thing to listen to. So this song is a Jimmy Rolls song called "The Peacocks." And then, when did you write lyrics for it?
Oh God, well, I'm trying to think when we did this recording. I think I wrote lyrics. I do remember 1990. I wrote the lyrics because I had the chance to do a broadcast with the Norddeutsche Rundfunk Orchestra in Hanover, and they said I could have arrangements done. And so I asked a guy called Steve Gray, a wonderful arranger, English arranger, and I thought, well, what can I do? And I suddenly thought, oh, that song, The Peacocks. I started to write words. I heard Bill Evans play it. I didn't hear Jimmy Rolls play it. I heard Bill Evans play it, and I loved the bridge. It really fascinated me because I thought, this is so angular and difficult. And so anyway, so Steve said, well, I can't do the arrangement till I see the lyrics. He was that kind of, he always liked to know what the thing was about. So I then finished them for this broadcast and sent it to Jimmy. And
great. Well, I'm going to play it, and I'll shut my mic off too, because you can hear, for those of you following my kitchen, today is a great day. This whole week, I think we're going to finish, and they're actually sawing some wood for a floor thing. So, but I'll play this, and then I'll turn off my mic so that you can actually just hear the beautifulness of this. So here is the Peacock, or the Peacocks, but called A Timeless Place because of the addition of the lyrics. This was written by Jimmy Rolls, and the lyrics are by Norma, and many singers have performed this, many, including myself. So here it is.
Proudly grace the scene, a vision, a timeless place, another way of living. You moved in so close, I really thought that you were giving. I allowed myself a moment to believe that you could need me, to reflect upon what might have been. The summer sky I saw reflected in the color of your eyes. But somehow I could never peel away the layers of disguise. I'm drowning now, I'm slowly sinking in a sea of blue and green, where what you are is never seen. How can anybody know you? I still hear the ringing of a church bell in the morning. The peacocks still calling out their sad and bitter warning. Beauty's only an illusion. Here your truth is an intrusion. A mirage is all it's ever been. Summer sky I saw reflected in the color of your eyes, but somehow I could never peel away the layers of disguise. I'm drowning now, I'm slowly sinking in a sea of blue and green, where what you are is never seen. How can anybody know you? I still hear the ringing of a church bell in the morning. The peacocks still calling out their sad and bitter warning. Take a final look around you. Hold the memory forever. Find a quiet place inside where you can listen to the things your heart is saying. Beauty's only an illusion. Here your truth is an intrusion. The mirage is all it's ever been.
Beautiful. Yep, that is really beautiful. Let's see if I can get myself back here. Start video, yeah. That was really beautiful. And actually, I hadn't heard this particular version, and the ending is actually a different ending than I've heard.
Oh,
You know, because what is it? Da, 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 da. Take a look.
I'll
There-
take a final look around you.
Yeah.
Hold the memory for it. That's the coded. Find a quiet place inside where you can listen to the things your heart is saying.
Yes, yes.
But that actually was funny because that wasn't in the original piece.
Yeah.
When I got over there to record it with Jimmy, he suddenly said, "Oh, I've done a coda, so we need some more words for that."
Oh.
Different words. So that was just done. That was never apparently on the original piece.
Oh, I see.
Added it as a coda, and I always sing it now. I can't imagine it without that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in the original composition. He just added it when we got there.
I didn't add that on my recording because I didn't know. A student had sung it for me, and I was, especially when I heard the bridge, I was like,
No.
I have to sing that. And that just brings to mind a point. This is just a singer complaint kind of thing. But you know how sometimes every now and then there'll be a musician who will complain about the note you're singing against the chord. And
What?
because it has too much tension.
Yeah.
But drowning now is that one super tension note.
Drowning now, of course. I mean, Jimmy wrote that. I mean, was old school as well. I mean, you never believe it listening to that bridge.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't take any notice of anybody that complains about notes that clash.
So there are you musicians.
Yeah. I like a good clash. That's good.
I do too. I hate it when musicians change the chord to make my note whatever they think it should be.
Yeah.
It's like, don't do that.
I would hate it also when they decide that you're actually, you're pulling the time around, and they think they compensate for you. I said to people, look, what do you do? Don't dare do anything. Just trust me. Okay, I might be wrong, but but usually I'm doing it. I'm choosing where I'm going to place that note. Isn't that I've missed a beat or something?
Exactly.
But there you are.
Exactly. Now, boy, oh my gosh, I have so many comments. I'm sorry. Have to do a little bit here. Let's see. Dolores, I'm not sure what you were posting. Karen, the lyrics are beautiful. Do they have a specific meaning?
Yes. Well, I mean, I hope that the meaning, if you obviously hearing them once, you're not going to know, but I hope that on several listenings, it becomes clear. It's just a kind of story. When people often ask me how I came to write those words, and sounds like that I'm inundated with people wanting to know, but I mean, often on courses, people do want to know.
Yeah.
And it's, when I thought about it, I started to try to write them, but because it was so difficult with that bridge and everything, I gave up for a while until I had to finish them. But I just thought, peacocks, okay, peacocks. Where would you get peacocks? Now, in England, you get them perhaps at stately homes, these mansions and things like National Trust properties, and sometimes in parks. And I remembered having done a gig once with this Michael Garrick, who I told you about, who got me to sing instrumental lines in his band. We did a gig at one of these places, these stately homes, a place called Belton House in I don't know, somewhere in Lincolnshire anyway.
Yeah.
I think what happened was that the drummer's car broke down, so we managed to get to the gig, but we had to wait for the AA to come the next day to fix the car. So we went off to the hotel, got back there the next day, and the people that owned the place said, oh, you can just, wander around. I mean, it was open to the public. They'd charge people to come in and look around. But we were just given a free hand. We could just wander around this place. It had its own chapel. There was a room where Prince Charles had slept when he did his pilot training at a local airfield. And it just was, I mean, everywhere you looked, there was sort of, his Grinland Gibbons carvings and, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And I loved it. I really felt at home there, actually. Perhaps in a previous life, maybe I was in a place like that. I don't know. Anyway, I remembered this when I was thinking about where you get peacocks. They didn't have any peacocks there, but I just put myself in this house and I just imagined the rest and just looking out of the windows at the gardens and pavilions. I mean, there weren't any pavilions far below us, but that somehow came out.
Yeah.
And I just imagined this scenario of a woman being there and being in love with or involved with one of the people from this family, who had this house, and he was a bit like a peacock. You could never. It was display. Everything was display, and you never found the truth. And eventually, she has to go. She leaves, and I still hear the ringing of the church bells in the morning. I always like to get a church bell in there if I can. and the peacock's still calling out their sad and bitter warning, which I mean, the cry of a peacock is horrible. Really, it's horrible. Anyway. And then she goes. That's it. So it's like a little love story gone wrong in a stately home.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. Oh, Sarah Oshlag is here, and she says one of her all-time favorite, poetic and delicious to sing.
Oh.
And Kendra Shank is here. Loves you.
Oh, Kendra. Hello. Yeah, I love her.
Let's see who else. Yeah. Just moving on. Let's see. Roberta Rebel. Oh, I don't know how to say your name, Roberta. Robluski Brenza. I found Timeless Place, the absolutely perfect mood of the COVID quarantine. So now I too have enjoyed singing this masterpiece. Thank you. Let's see. Julie Mack. Kismet, I just joined as you were discussing and playing this gorgeous tune. And great lyrics. I adore singing. See, there's lots of singers, who does a great job too. Carmen Bradford did a recent recording, and the thing that impressed me about her recording was she had loosened it up. So her phrasing and I've never heard anybody as unique phrasing. Usually people stick with the melody a lot, that was a really nice one. You should check that one out. Let's see.
Yeah. The thing is, that version that you played, I mean, I'd only really sung it more or less once before.
Yeah.
And so it was very new, and I was being very careful. I mean, since I don't pull it about very much, because I think it's so beautiful as it is. But of course, it's looser now when I sing it than it was then.
Yeah.
And so singing it with the composer, I just felt like, I really got to stick to it.
And sometimes, and I think I get this from singing standards all my life. I really like to change stuff, but sometimes the melody is so beautiful, and the chordal instrument is doing such beautiful voicings that really it's so perfectly beautiful, just doing the melody, and of course, look at the Brazilians. I mean, that's a big portion of what they do. It's about the phrasing for them, right?
But I mean, with the bridge of that piece, I mean, you can. It depends what the pianist is playing, because I've sung it with people, and sometimes they'll play chords that will really not absolutely help you, to sing the right to sing the right intervals. And I always manage it, but it's just beautiful in a way as it is, but. There's no reason why you shouldn't do something else with it at all. But and all you people that do sing it, please call it A Timeless Place, because if you call it the Peacocks, I mean, I don't get any royalties. Not that I'm talking about very much,
I know. I'm just, let's see, I'm sorry, I'm looking. There's a lot of people making comments. Stunning. People are there's a person in Australia listening. And
not Anita Bordell, is it?
No, it's not. But let's see. It is Susan Guy Dowling.
Oh.
Yeah, because this is kind of a weird. It's very early in Australia, because I did
Yeah,
have Anita on, and I
yeah,
had.
I know. I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, you did. Ooh.
yeah.
Um, let's see. You just getting lots and lots of kudos. People saying hello. Mark Winkler. Do you know Mark Winkler?
Yeah, I think I do.
He's a
Yeah, I
singer
do.
and he's
Yeah.
a lyricist, really great lyricist. You've probably heard many of his songs because a lot of people have recorded his songs as well.
Mm.
Joyce Glasgow, hi, who's a big fan in Seattle. Do you play any instruments? Karen would like to know.
Well, I learnt piano when I was a lot younger.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that I exactly play it, you know what I mean? I can tinker around on it, and I love the piano. But
yeah.
and I did learn organ for a while,
Oh,
church organ.
uh-huh.
But I wouldn't say that I'm
So
good.
when you learn a song, I mean, obviously you read,
Yeah.
and when you learn what, especially one of those songs with an extended vocalese, how do you learn them?
When you say an extended vocalese, what do you mean?
Well, for instance, like that Kenny Wheeler song that we heard first.
Yeah, well, that's no, I mean that's just the written notes. I just sang what was written. My readings is okay. I mean, I've got a good memory, so as soon as I've looked at something and got it right, then I tend to, the next time I look at that music, then I'll remember it.
Right.
But it was always hard with those things because we didn't really have proper rehearsal time. We would do a broadcast, get there maybe 2 hours, 3 hours before, and there was the music, and I hadn't seen it.
Oh.
And some of it was guesswork, and some of it was thinking, he'd put with second alto, and you think, well, I can't hear second alto. And I had my own ways also, because Kenny didn't write in key signatures. It was always open key.
Oh.
So if you didn't know the chords, what the chords were, it was anybody's guess. You have to come in on a B, and what note you finished on, so I had my own little tricks, that I would listen and think, now what do I hear through that section? What is the tonality I hear? And I would sing the note that I hear mostly, and then run to the piano, find out what it was, write down I hear an A, and then perhaps I've got to come in on a C sharp or something. So then I could pitch it from that. But it was, I just had my own ways of figuring it out, because I can't seem to work with, people have, they have little pitch.
Yeah.
I could never really do that. I always like to relate it to what I'm hearing rather than it be on its own somehow.
Yeah.
Like, this is the right note. If it doesn't sound right to me, if it doesn't blend in, then I find it difficult to sing. But, but of course, learning the piano did help. I tend to think of the keyboard when I'm reading.
Yeah.
Exactly, sight singing, I know. But.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like your lyric writing was just a very natural development out of your singing, because of how you described, loving the lyrics and even improvising with the lyrics. So it probably lyric writing was kind of a natural extension for you, was it?
Yeah, although I didn't do it to begin with. I really did it so that I could extend my repertoire into things that I hadn't heard everybody sing. I thought, well, I heard all these beautiful tunes like by Ralph Towner and Egberto Gismonti. I thought I'd love to sing those. And certain of them, I thought, well, that would make a really nice song. And I didn't know anybody that wrote lyrics. So I thought, well, and I've always loved poetry. So I just started to try, and I just found that I seemed to be able to do it and love it. It's hard. And I don't know how it works at all, really. But I just sit there with a blank piece of paper and listen and listen and listen. I always think that I'm trying to find lyrics that are in the music.
Yeah.
That I'm trying to bring them out. rather than impose them on the music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that feeling. Yeah, there's a song I've been writing lyrics to of Atmaro Ruiz, who's a brilliant piano player. And it's this song that I have loved for years that he wrote for his daughter. And it's one of those songs, kind of like the Peacocks, there's some really simple stuff and then there's a little bit more intricate. But I just keep listening to it and get the feeling from it that I get is actually about his daughter. So it was pretty easy to come up with lyrics for that. Yeah. But yeah, and then of course I asked Norma to sing on a recording with me of a song, a John Abercrombie song that I wrote lyrics to in college. And that was called Hippityville. And yeah, actually I should play that because we had so much fun.
It turned out quite well, that track in the end, I thought.
It did. And people really loved it, actually. Yeah. But there was a story about that. So when I asked Norma to be on this recording and I told her about the song, she laughed because you had a gig, right? Like for a week across from him.
Yes. With Azimuth opposite.
It was with Azimuth.
Yeah, and Peter Erskine and bass player Mark
Johnson. Mark
yeah.
Johnson.
Yeah, and they played Hippityville a lot, and I really loved it. And I kept thinking I must write words to that, but of course I didn't do it, and, and you did it.
Yeah, that was fun. And then we were in the studio, an interesting studio in the countryside in England, and we had a really nice time. That was, and Andy McIntosh was the producer. Yes. Andy McIntosh, the character of all characters.
Yes.
So yeah, actually, I'll see if I can find that. I'm sure I can, but anyway, we'll see. But let's see. Oh, Cathy Segal-Garcia, Hippityville. Let's see if it's even. I don't know if it's. Oh yeah, it is actually. See, everything is on. Even if I don't put it on there, maybe I did put it on there. I don't know. So, but this is just a. But you'll hear it.
That was my death sentence as they wheeled me.
Oh.
That was not part of the Hippityville.
No.
This is though. All right. find your way, you're home, home free like me. I'll move ahead to my solo. That is a nice tune. The players were so good on that. Oh my God. From England. Wow. The bass player, Laura, what's his name?
Laurie. No. Lawrence Cottle.
Lawrence Cottle. Yes, Lawrence Cottle. God, he played so good on that.
Yeah.
And we really, that was one of the most fun duos I've ever had. Our voices and the way that we went for the improvisation, kind of like Kate McGarry and I too. It just really just a great time. And interestingly enough, I don't know if I told you this, but I was really sick on that project. Like, came to England and I was just horribly sick, and I had to do I had to do all of the vocals again except that song.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it sounded great.
Of course, we worked on it, but but it was interesting that particular tune I didn't actually have to redo. But boy, that was just such a beautiful, beautiful time. Thank you for doing that again.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Let's see. So, yeah. How many? Speaking of writing, so how many songs have you? Do you know how many songs you've written? And do you ever write? Do you ever write music as well?
No, I mean the thing is, I know so many people that that really write beautiful music. I mean, I've often told off by people about this. You know, they say, "Yeah, but you know, you improvise. You ought to be able to think of things." But I don't know. I mean, harmony and melody are very important to me. I mean, and I just think that I wouldn't be able to write satisfying things harmonically that would satisfy me. I don't think, but
yeah.
But anyway, it's enough for me to write words. Really, I think that's.
I understand. Yeah.
And yeah, but. And what was the question? I can't remember now. How many? Yeah, you said how many have I written?
Yes.
I have no idea. I mean, it seems like hundreds. I don't know.
Wow.
So, I mean, I've written loads of words, and I can't even remember. Sometimes there were things people have asked me to go and do projects with them, and I've written a couple of words to a couple of the things that we've recorded, and I've completely forgotten them. And then suddenly I come across them on an album because I perhaps haven't ever sung them again. But yeah, I mean, I really with Azimuth, I didn't always write words to things because I do think some music is just fine without words.
Yeah, I agree.
Because sometimes words will take away from a piece and take away its mystery, you know. It's a shame you haven't got any of the Azimuth recordings. I have to send you something. But
you know what? I saw Azimuth on YouTube.
Did you?
Yeah.
Not AZYMUT, because there was an Azimuth that came up, or Azimuth, after us.
Oh, let me see. I'll just, while we're speaking, I'll look.
But anyway, they're on ECM. So this.
So it's AZI, it's AZI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, there is some on YouTube.
Oh, good.
So we'll listen after a little bit.
But and a lot of that music I felt it didn't need anything. You know, it was complete in itself. And words. The thing is, once you put words to something, then it means that.
Yeah.
You know, what you've done, that's what the piece means. Whereas without words, it can mean anything you like to the listener. You know, anything the listener wants.
That's so true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I can think of a number on both sides. You know. Yeah. One thing that you never think of without lyrics anymore is Birdland, right? Right after they wrote words and recorded it to Birdland, nobody ever thought of it
as an instrumentally.
And Laurie Antonioli is here, another great singer. She says hi. Do you know her?
No, don't.
She's a wonderful singer. She's in San Francisco. You would really enjoy her a lot.
Well, there's a lot of good singers about. I know, really.
There really are. Now, so Vonette Bigford brought up a Song of Life with you and Fred Hirsch. Definitely, let's talk about you and Fred Hirsch, because that was an amazing project. I don't know if you did more than one, but that whole project, what was it called? Songs and
Lullabies.
Songs and Lullabies. Wow. So tell us about that.
Well, there was a lady, actually she died recently, called Alwyn Richards, who used to bring Fred over to do solo concerts. And he had done a few tours, you know, and she thought, well, it's time he worked with a group over here, you know, because people don't always want to hear solo piano. They'd like to hear a group. So she obviously spoke to him, and somehow my name must have come up. And so I was booked to do something with him and Kenny Wheeler and a percussionist called Paul Clavis. And we did, in fact, I mean, the first gig that we did was in a church in Oxford, which was near where Olwyn lived. And Paul Clavis brought along an engineer and recorded this first ever gig that we did. And it came out as on an album called Four in Perspective. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it's available anymore. Paul put it out on his label. Village Life or something. Village Life it was called, I think. Anyway, so we did, you know, Fred came over and I thought, well, it would be nice. I don't know what we're going to do, but I'd listened to records of his, and I'd met him once when I was in New York, but just went round to his apartment and just sang a bit, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'll try and write some words. And so I chose a few. Now, there was one of them was a Song of Life, or a Heart Song, as it was originally called, and another one called I can't remember. I wrote the words. I can't remember what it's called. Not Saraband. Well, anyway, whatever it was, it's the name of a dance. And so I presented these words to him, and he's quite picky, is Fred, but quite rightly, because it's his music. But he liked these. I mean, I didn't know then how picky he was, because he liked these. And he said, oh, lots of people have tried to write words to this, you know, to Heart Song. And but he accepted mine anyway, and we changed the title to Song of Life. And then he came and we did another tour, and I wrote more words to his some of his pieces. And he said, well, why don't we record some things? So we were going to just do a recording with some of his pieces and some standards. And I went over to New York and we did a day's recording, but there was something wrong with the piano. He didn't like the piano in the studio. And I don't know, we just gave it up. We thought, no, we won't continue with this. But then he said, well, why don't you write some more words to pieces and we do a whole album of my music and your words. And he sent me some stuff that he'd just written. In fact, one he'd just written was he called Valentine, which became A Wish, which...
That's a great song.
I wrote words. I mean, it took me about 10 minutes to write those. They just came out. And he said it had taken him about 10 minutes to write the tune. Oh. It's just those things that it just lent itself absolutely to words.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was great getting into those pieces because they're not simple, and which I love, actually. You know, harmonically they're interesting, melodically they're interesting, and I just really enjoyed working on them and coming up with the lyrics. And of course, then when we went over to do them, Fred said, oh, Gary Burton's going to be on a couple of tracks, which was great too. And but yeah, it's funny because there was one on there called Spirits, which was originally called, what was it called? There's another one single title. I've forgotten because I changed it to Spirits. It was so difficult, it was so high. And I said, well, it might be better in another key. And Fred said, oh, no. It's got to be in this key. So in that key, but, you know, I sound as if I'm being strangled at some point. But no, it was, I don't know if I could sing it now, but I could sing it then. I need to do it. But yeah, I mean, they're just so challenging, those pieces, but very rewarding.
There's one called Echoes.
Echoes, that's it.
And
maybe it was originally called Spirits. No, I called it Spirits, but it was called Echoes, I think, originally. Da da dee da dee da. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Spirits walking.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then somebody said Saraband.
Saraband, that's it. Yeah, Saraband. That was that I changed to, I don't know. We changed the title. Well, we changed the titles of all of them, to which is one thing you can do so that the composer doesn't lose out when it's played as an instrumental.
Right.
It's got an instrumental title.
Yeah.
As you know, I mean, you've written words. You probably came across this yourself.
Yep.
When you've written things to Pat Metheny, you wrote very good words. So
I did, with his blessing. It was really quite nice. In Her Family was his song.
Yeah.
Beautiful song.
Yeah.
In her, real. Just, it was during that time where he was writing.
Yes.
Kind of crystal clean. It was just really. He's such a good writer. I actually, Greta Matassa sings another song of his. I forget the name of it, but with great lyrics, and she didn't write them, but a friend of hers did. And I can't remember. It's something called I Can't Remember. Oh, I just have to tell you this. Laurie Antonoli. Oh God, sorry, Laurie. I always slaughter your name. Antonioli. She heard Azimuth because Stan Getz's son, Steve, gave her a cassette after a performance, and she said it changed her life.
Wow.
Because it was exactly what she wanted to hear.
Well, I met Lisa Rich.
Yeah.
Because Steve he loved Azimuth and he booked us. And that's when I met Lisa. She came to a gig. I think we did at Ethel's place in Baltimore. I hope I got that right, Lisa, if you're still listening. But yeah. But yeah.
Frank, do you know Frank Griffith?
Oh yes. Yeah, of course. He lives in England.
Yeah, he's going to be on Wednesday, actually.
Is he?
Yeah. And he's on, one thing he said he'd love to hear what it was like to sing unisons with Kenny Wheeler and John Paricelli on guitar. What a beautiful sound that was.
What it was like. Well, I mean, it was a thrill. It was just, I always dreamed about doing something like that, something as playing with people as good as that, singing, matching my voice to Kenny's sound. As I said before, it was just thrilling. And I would always be excited, still now, if I am asked to sing those lines again that Kenny wrote, I'm excited. It's just like a kid, it's never gone away. Just being part of something, I was like, that's why I think I used to think, well, I'd actually like to be behind a screen when I'm singing a song because I was so nervous. But I got out of that. I remember Jay saying once, well, we have to think about why we're nervous, and you have to forget about yourself. It's the music that's important, and that helps. If you can think it's the music that's important and not worry about you and how you're appearing or sounding. But no, just it's easy when you sing with great people like that.
Yeah. By the way, Lisa said she brought her mom.
She brought what to that gig?
Yes.
in Baltimore.
And there's a Brazilian singer, Decca, here, who's a big fan, and she's a wonderful singer too. There's so many. That's one thing about what's going on now that's really nice. And I have to say, the reason that I love to keep doing this is because it brings some normalcy to us. Normalcy in a creative way. Like, oh yeah, right. We are tied together. We create. We are creating. We have created. It brings some really good, healthy, substance to what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Norma and I were talking before we came on. We were like, oh boy, this is It's such a bizarre state of, state of history. But this, what we're doing right now, is really yummy and good,
Yeah. What you feel you should be doing.
Yeah, yeah. Raoul Bailey bows to you.
Oh, thank you.
I like that. Let's see. What I also wanted to. What are I guess people would like to know. Everybody seems to be doing the same things right now, but tell us a little bit about what's going on now. We know that, or I know now that England is pretty much in tier 4.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
lockdown.
Yeah. But so what are you doing? What do you do? What do you do with your days? Do you do much music or not, or kind of in and out like me?
Yeah, so in and out really. I mean, I should be writing lyrics. I've got a couple of pieces that I'm writing lyrics for, but I have to get in the right frame of mind, or just order myself to do it, either be in the right frame of mind or have a deadline. Of course, there are no deadlines at the moment. I might record with a pianist called Kit Downs and a guitarist called Mike Walker, who's great. We did 3 gigs at the beginning of the year before lockdown, and we had such great time that we thought, we're going to continue with this, and then then of course nothing. And so we're hoping to at least go and try and just record a few things in February if possible. So I'm really trying to write some words and
good.
Some new things. I mean, I've written loads of words to Ralph Towner tunes, and we always talked about doing a recording, but it's never happened, and I don't know if it ever will happen. But there's some wonderful tunes. But I did a couple of gigs with Ralph, but the slight problem is, a guitarist of his quality and everything, they really sort of have worked out that you're not just going to change a key,
Yeah.
So that needs to go down a fourth.
Yeah.
So I tended to sing things in his keys, which sometimes puts you up in the stratosphere.
But your high voice is so beautiful.
Well, but I mean, you don't always want to do it really. But
right.
I like the low voice. I like to use the low voice as well. But
well, you could do a Nancy King thing where you just like make everything work everywhere.
Yeah, no, she's great. But, no, I mean, the thing is that there's some great things there. There's so many things that I've written words for and I haven't recorded. I keep thinking, what I've been thinking this lockdown is that I ought to really somehow catch up with all these things.
Yeah, you should. The person who is bowing down said somewhere called home changed her life, his life.
Oh, thank you. Well, that. I mean, what John and Tony Coe on that album, and it's just amazing. Well, that John did the arrangements, and Tony is just out there and like clarinet playing like I never heard anybody do. He's just wonderful. And I know I think it was quite special really, that album. And of course it was the first one that I did in my name for ECM.
Are you you're still an ECM artist, right?
Well, I don't know if you can call it being on, I mean
nothing's really happening
like every couple of years if you're lucky, but no, I haven't got actually there is a project that Manfred has said he wants to do, Manfred Eicher, which you see, years ago I wrote a lot of words to Steve Swallow tunes.
Oh,
Ladies in Mercedes is probably the only one.
Oh yeah, that's so popular.
Knows. Yeah, but I did an evening of songs, and it was called the Ladies Suite, and I dedicated each piece to a writer, a female writer, or artist or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
An author, and we never did anything with them. We did a concert, and then I think a few years later I did, and Steve was on it himself, and John Taylor, and then some years later I did more of his songs, some of the originals and some more, with a pianist called Willem Simcock and Tim Garland on saxophone. Anyway, we did that in Italy, but I thought that if Steve really wanted to record them, he would have said something. And I think he thought if I really wanted to record them, I would have said something. So I wrote to him earlier in the year because there was a piece of his which I had done, but I'd never had a lead sheet for.
Oh.
And I said, do you think you could send me the lead sheet for this particular piece? And he wrote back and he said, well, you've stirred a sleeping dog. He said, because I'd love to record those things. And I thought, well, fantastic. So, yeah. So he said, I really mean it. I really want to do them. So Manfred Eicher had been ill. So I just wrote to him and just said, I hope you're feeling better, blah, blah. And I said, and I've been speaking to Steve Swallow and about doing a project of, his music and my words. And I said, he really wants to do it. And Manfred wrote back immediately and said, yes, I want to do this. And then, of course, lockdown, and that's it. So we're still waiting to be able to do it. But it might happen next May, perhaps.
Yeah.
But,
would you fly to where he is, or he would fly to you, or?
Well, I think the way things are at the moment, I think I would fly to where he is.
Yeah.
I think, but I'm not sure what's going to happen at the moment. Depends on.
Well, that would be beautiful.
Things. Yeah. So, I mean, the words are there, but I might alter them because I don't want it to be a project about women particularly. But it happened to be a theme at the time. But the words are sort of adaptable.
Yeah.
But I'm, and I thought about them, and I've thought of an order and what we could do, and then I've just put it aside because I don't know when it's going to happen. And sometimes you put a lot of work into something and nothing happens. So, yeah. So, but that would be on ECM.
What was your, well, first of all, for those who don't know, I'm pretty sure I'm accurate when I say ECM came about in the early 70s or possibly the late 60s. And I read that the groups that started with them were Weather Report and Keith Jarrett, maybe Pat Metheny.
Keith Jarrett, Pat Metheny was with them. Jan Garrick was.
Jan Garrick, right.
Really. Probably one of the first there. And
I remember coming across ECM and thinking, what the heck is this? Because I had grown up, my dad was a sax player, but very straight ahead. And then I went to Berkeley, and then I was in Boston, and the music was so abundant of all these different styles. And then ECM was like, what is this? This is like fantastic. And were you were with them, then you weren't, then you were?
No, I was with them with Azimuth from 1977. We did our first album. We did 3 in fairly quick succession for that label. And the first 2 was just me, John and Kenny. And then we added Ralph just as a guest. And then we did another 2, just the trio again. But, and John was experimenting with synthesizers. He'd just got one when we did the second album.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was, but I mean, really, that was Manfred Eicher's idea, that group, because, I had done Edge of Time, that first album that's in my name for Decca. It was at Argo, but I mean, it was an offshoot of Decca Records. I don't know what, I've won a poll over here, and they suddenly thought, oh, well, I suppose we better give her to give her a recording. So I thought, right, I'm doing it. I did quite far out stuff, you know.
That was your first record?
Yeah.
You
well,
were,
no,
you were
it wasn't.
pretty,
I'd recorded before, but
Oh.
that was the first in my name.
You were pretty young, actually, right? I mean, a young woman.
Yeah, I suppose I was once. I'm just trying to think when it was. I think 70. So I was probably about 30. I think,
Yeah.
when I did that, and yeah, and it's an interesting album. I mean, I didn't really like this at that time. I really didn't like my voice, and but anyway, I was hell bent on doing this music, you know, that I was into, and yeah, all sorts of people. Kenny was on that, and John had a trio with Chris Lawrence, bass player, and Tony Levin on drums, and they were the sort of basis of the whole thing. And we added something. Groups were like 10-piece,
Yeah.
and different people to do arrangements, and then it was down to a trio. And anyway, I think like a lot of albums that they put out at that time, vinyls, they just suddenly deleted them all. You know, decided, well, they hadn't sold like they thought they might. They deleted them, and there seemed to be no opportunities for recording, and that people were setting up their own labels. And so John and I went into John Taylor and I went into a studio, and we just recorded some things that he'd written and I'd written words for, and odd standard like Joy Spring or something. And he said, right, I'm going to take these to. He made a list of record labels that he was going to visit. They were mostly in Germany, because there was nothing in England really. And of course, top of the list was ECM, because Kenny had made New High, you know, with Keith Jarrett was on it. And I think Kenny had suggested John to Manfred. So Manfred knew John's name, but Manfred said, no, I should do it with Keith Jarrett, which was a very good move. And anyway, so John went out, and he managed to get an appointment to see Manfred, and he played him the things that we'd recorded just in duo. And the night before he went, he just got this synthesizer, and he was playing around with it, and he came up with a loop, and he just said, look, sing over this, just improvise over this loop. So I did, and he took that with him, that little recording. And when he played that to Manfred, he just said, "Oh, yes, I can hear a flugel with the voice. Why don't we bring Kenny in on this?" Well, we were delighted, because we were working with Kenny anyway.
Yeah.
So really, that was his creation.
Wow, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know, he's got great ears, and so Azimuth was created that way. And then of course John had to write music for it. He did, and yeah.
So ECM. So, and then you more recently you got back on the label, right?
Yeah.
Years ago.
Well, for probably about 14 years, I think I was in the I don't know. In the wilderness, if you like. No, I mean, I did other things. I did, and I set up my own little label and put some things out on that.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't seem to interest Manfred in anything, I don't know. So it's difficult to get hold of him, and I think if he can hear a sound, if you suggest something, and he can hear a sound of what it's going to be like. It almost doesn't matter. He thinks, the music will work out. You know, it's just he likes the idea of the sound of something, I think, first.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know well, I do know what happened, because these two musicians, Glauco Venier and Klaus Gesing, I got an agent to get in touch with me, and they said they got some extra money. They were working as a duo, you know, in Italy. And said, could you ask Norma if she'd do a gig with us? So I said, well, no, because, you know, I was tired of, I got asked to do a lot of things with other people, their music, and and I wasn't always very satisfied with it, and I sang it, but I just thought, I don't want to do that. And so the agent said, no, they don't, no, they'll sing they'll do your music. So I said, okay. So I sent them the music on ahead. But they knew a lot of the things anyway, because they were Azimuth fans, and they liked Somewhere Called Home. And when we did the first gig, I just thought, I can work with these guys. I just knew that it would work. And so we then tried to get more gigs, and then we we financed an album ourselves at this studio, which was near where Glauco lives, in Udine in northern Italy, about 2 hours from Venice. And it just happened that Enrico Rava wanted to mix his latest album at that studio. So Manfred went to the studio.
Oh wow.
And, it was mentioned that I had done an album. I'd been recorded there. And I think the engineer at the time, he didn't speak German, and his English wasn't that good. So they got Glauco in, because he was a friend of the engineer, to be a translator. And I think they went for a meal, and at the end of the evening, Glauco said thank you to Manfred. And Manfred said, well, who are you? What do you do? He said, oh, I'm a local piano player. I play with Klaus Gasing. And he said, Klaus Gasing, he's made an album with Norma Winstone and a piano player. So Glauco said, yeah, that's me. And he said, well, why didn't you bring it to me? So Glauco said, I don't know, it's up to Norma. So that came back to me, and I thought, well, maybe he's interested. What happened was, I think he was ill, and he was at home, and he had to put the radio on, and it just happened that Klaus was being interviewed by somebody.
Gosh.
They played a track from this album that we'd made, and
Wow.
under our own steam. And he obviously heard something he liked. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to use this. And so I rang up, and I didn't ask for him because, it's difficult to get. He's so busy.
Yeah.
Couldn't get him. So I just left a message with Steve Lake, who was he wrote a lot of the publicity stuff. And I knew Steve because he was English, and I'd known him when he was in England. And I just said, I'm going to do another album with this trio, which actually I wasn't. I didn't have any plans to do it, but I just said I was. And if Manfred, if he's interested, could he get back to me? And I thought, well, at least I've tried. It won't happen.
Yeah.
About 5 minutes later, the phone went.
Oh,
there he is.
Oh, wow, that was spooky. Okay. Great story. I love this. Yeah.
It was Manfred. Well, the woman said, I have Manfred Eicher for you. Yes. But as Oscar Brown said, but I was cool. And he said, I want to record this project. So I said, oh, okay, all right. How do we go ahead? So then we set up dates. It can't be until next January. This was something like May. And but yeah, I mean, the fact that he had rung, the other two didn't believe me when I rang them and said that we were going to do this album. They said, no. He said, no, I mean, he rang me, so it means, he's serious. So yeah, so that happened, and he loved the group, and it was very, very helpful. He's always been very supportive. I mean, I know that I was sort of ignored for about 14 years, but whenever I've been there, he's very supportive, always.
Yeah.
And, so
that's great. Joyce, I think there's too many for you to name, but you might tell us a few. She wanted to know, which Ralph Towner tunes have you put lyrics to?
Well, apart from Celeste, that's the one that most people know.
How does that go?
Songs that began in another time, making their way to my mind. Now as I watch the sky grows lighter, da 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 dee da da dee da 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 da. So Celeste.
Yeah.
The Glide. Do you know that?
Oh, I recorded that.
Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, you know that one.
The Glide. I love that song so much.
Yeah, and then recently I'd written, I think he wrote a lovely tune called "I Will Sing to You," and I wrote words to that. And oh yeah, there's "Beneath an Evening Sky." That's an old one of his. That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
And I say I've never recorded that. I want to.
Yeah.
And another one that he wrote recently, well, not in recent years. At Summer's End. There's a tune of his called Summer's End. It's a nice little piece.
Years ago I wrote lyrics to Icarus, and
yes.
he was really like very not open for lyrics at that moment in time. And he just said, no, I don't want any lyrics for my songs because they change, then people remember. Yeah. And then Ruth Price, who is she used to be a singer. You know her? Yeah.
Well, I met her in Los Angeles.
Yeah. She's very,
yeah.
She's as we say, a ballabuster, but she wrote lyrics at a time much later, that he was open for it. Yeah.
But it's funny because when I wrote the lyrics to Celeste, he'd just written it and for the birth of his daughter. And I came up with these lyrics and I showed them to her. We were on tour, I think, because we did an Azimuth tour opposite Ralph and John Abercrombie.
Yeah.
And so I said, look, I've written these words. And he looked at me, he said, I like them. Yeah, I like them. He said, but I really wanted to write my own. So I said, okay. I said, but can I just sing mine until you write yours? Of course, he never did write them. He never wrote his own. Then I recorded his. But no, he's been all right about lyrics. He's written some himself, I think, with The Silence of a Candle.
I don't know, actually.
Lisa sang that. Rich sang The Silence of a Candle. Somebody sent me him singing it, I think.
Oh.
But but no, there's a lot of others as well that I've written words to. The recent ones. Oh God.
Let's see. Raul would like I don't think you really spoke a lot about it, but about the music for the large ensemble session.
Oh yeah.
Like just the sessions. And by the way, Lisa said yes.
Yeah. What she did? Yeah. Oh yes. Okay.
He sang it in the 70s.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, she sang it, and he sang it in the 70s.
She said he sang it in the 70s.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think she sent me a recording or something. I don't know. I've heard it anyway.
Yeah.
But music for large and small. Yeah. Well, it was Kenny's 60th birthday. It was 1990. Yeah, 1990, and there was a tour. In those days, you could get what they called an Arts Council, network tour, and they could provide funds to help people book you for things that people could never afford, like big bands. And Kenny wrote this piece, this suite called the Suite. Well, he didn't call it anything at the time, but so that was his 60th birthday tour, and we had a day off in between. I think Liverpool. We'd done Liverpool one night. And we had a day off, and then we were to do Birmingham. And Manfred Eicher came over with that wonderful engineer from Norway to a studio in London. And we all came home after Liverpool, which was a long journey, but went to bed, got to the studio by about 9 o'clock the next morning, and recorded the whole day.
My God.
And then went back the next day on our way to the next gig to do repairs. unfortunately, I mean, I'd been used to singing this live, on stage and hearing everything. We tried this with me in the room, but then everybody was in my microphone. So I had to go into a booth, which meant I had to rely on headphones. Now, you can't hear everything on headphones.
Yeah.
It's funny, you can be selective when you're just listening on stage. You home in on the things you need.
Yeah.
With headphones, that's it. You've got the lot.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, one part of the tune you need the saxophones, another part you need the trumpet. So you can't keep saying, well, sorry, but this bit, can you bring the saxophones up and then bring the trumpets up here? So some of the things I didn't sing, and I was going to overdub them the next day. But there wasn't time because other people were repairing mistakes and things, and it sort of didn't matter about the voice on certain things. So I often think, well, if other singers get this music and sing it, they probably think, she didn't sing that. she missed that bit out. But it was because of the circumstances. But no, I mean, it's amazing that we did it in that one day. And just a bit of the next day morning, just doing repairs.
Yeah.
And then I think they did the smaller group, I think Dave and Peter Erskine and John Abercrombie and Kenny and John did recorded at a later date that some of the other things that are on that album. But the piece, The Suite, was done in that day. And it was such a thrill singing that, especially the opening. It's, da 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 da. It's lovely, like a chorale thing. In fact, when I met Kurt Elling, he said he had that played at his wedding, that opening.
Oh,
yeah.
how sweet.
He was a great fan of Kenny's. He loved Kenny.
That's so beautiful. Well, you have a beautiful quality too. I mean, your singing has that. Even just when you just did that, there's a very I don't know what to say about it. It's kind of a gentle vulnerability connection, which I think I love that. I think that's a really great gift to give people, and so that's another thing that I love about your singing.
Thanks, but I just love it's because I love the music.
Yeah.
That's what it is, I think.
What do you think? I mean, what you've described to me is success, but what do you think success is?
I wouldn't know. I mean, no. I mean, when you say success, well, success in being able to do a job properly, there's that. To sing something perhaps as well as you can sing it and be satisfied with it. I guess that's success. I mean, I don't think about any other kind of success because in this business, this area of the business, I mean, what is it? You're lucky if you can keep working.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, it's just, it's never easy. It's never been easy. And I think I never really sing things that, it's probably stupid of me, but I don't seem to sing things that people really go out and buy in their masses, It's just that I've just always done what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's not always a recipe for financial success but I mean, it's what it is. If people certain people like it, people that I like it, the people I respect like it. So I get sort of some feeling of achievement from that. And musicians always seem to want to play, to work with me. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, personally, that's what I think of success as well. And also, just having a life that you've gathered together in whatever way you've gathered it together. Like like you have a beautiful husband, you have a beautiful home, in a really beautiful spot, right? And you're doing music that you love to do with people that you admire and love. I mean, that's success, life
Who could
success.
ask for anything more? Who could ask for anything more? Just that's it.
Yeah. Gosh. Let's see. There were a few people who said a few things. Anyway, you have a lot of fans here.
Oh, well, that's nice. Maybe I should come over sometime. It's just difficult, isn't it? Well, especially now. I mean, but no, I mean, I would like to come over again.
MJ Williams said, Norma, you've touched many lives because of your musical integrity.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's
success, right?
That's success.
So, yeah. So, you haven't done a gig in England for these months,
No.
these COVID months?
I did actually do something with at the end of September with the new intake of students for the Guildhall School of Music.
Oh,
we did a piece with the band, and we played a piece that Steve Gray had written. He'd reworked some of the songs of the Auvergne, and I'd written new words, made it into a new little story.
yeah.
And we did that with the students, and yeah, we're all socially distanced, of course. We were all like in the round. It was a bit strange. And a choir, there's a beautiful singer, Claire Wheeler, who was with the Swingles for a while. Swingles. And she had been a student at Guildhall, and there weren't any choir parts for this piece, but she added some voices, so that everybody was included. But that's really the only thing. I did 3 gigs in Italy in September.
Oh,
because at that time, Italy had opened up a bit, and you didn't have to quarantine when you came back. But I managed to get that in Italy. I did a couple of duo gigs with Glauco.
Oh, beautiful.
One in a cave, which was incredible.
Wow.
Incredible sound. A cave. They managed to get a little grand piano down into this cave.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was quite spooky, really. But it was lovely.
How was the sound? Was the sound good?
Yeah, it was great for me. It wasn't so good for him, but I mean, for the voice, you can imagine. Yeah, it was just didn't need any help with reverb in that situation.
Boy,
but
that's interesting.
yeah, but I haven't done anything. I was supposed to go to Cologne in November, but that was all cancelled because they, they've got problems too over there now. So
Lisa actually asked if that cave was recorded.
No, well, unless anybody recorded it, they shouldn't have done. But no, it wasn't officially recorded. No.
Obviously streamed, right?
I don't know. No, it was just a concert. No, there were people. There was an audience.
People.
It was a big cave. It was. There weren't. Yeah, well, I say people, about 50 people or 60 people or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
I don't think that would ever happen in America. I don't think the U.S. would ever think any. You guys like online? I don't think. Yeah, I think Europeans create. That's part of the reason why I like going to Europe and singing, because there's all kinds of interesting gigs that get created. Hey, let's go to that restaurant that used to be a nunnery on the top of a hill in Italy. With 40 courses of food. Yeah. Okay.
No, I love it. I love going to Italy. So, yeah, and the other one was in the theatre, but people spread out, but they were there. It was a nice few singers there as well. Studying in the local.
That's
area.
nice. Michelle said, I remember what you told me when I was singing Only Trust Your Heart. I was trying to have a round sound, and you said, could you please try and put some air in your voice? Because it would make it more vulnerable.
Ah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
See, words of wisdom, pearls of wisdom that you said.
Of course, you forget that you say these things and you forget them. But Yeah. Yeah. Well, that I don't know. I obviously thought that would help at the time. I know you're not supposed to put air in your. I mean, classical people don't believe in that, but that's putting air in your voice. But
Yeah.
it's not. It's a nice effect sometimes.
It is. Well, and also like we were talking about your tone. You said you worked on your tone and you got a sound that worked for you, that you liked. And I think that's I mean, unless you're putting air and you're basically ruining the sound that's coming out, but you don't do that. You have a core.
Oh, yeah, you've got to have the core sound there, but you can just you can dress it up and you do different things with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I do many different things, but just that kind of thing, altering the sound slightly, and and sometimes I get a little croak that's effective.
Exactly.
I mean, it happens sometimes whether you want it or not, but
well, I hate to say this because I feel like just having a glass of wine with you and relaxing on your front porch, but it's been 2 hours.
It's dark here. It's absolutely pitch black out there.
Yes, I couldn't see the ocean anyway, so. I do remember sitting on that's because I have a picture, sitting on your porch with a heavy coat on. So at some point, one of the times I came over, it was really cold, apparently.
Yeah. What, you mean up on the balcony?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You can see the sea.
Yeah.
It's very lucky. I mean, if you're going to be locked down, this is a good place to be locked down in. But
do you walk?
Well, yes, yeah. But lately the weather's been terrible. I mean, it was nice this morning, but we had a storm, Bella, is it, the other night? That had a name, Bella.
Oh.
Storm, and it was incredible. I mean, the sound of the rain and the wind, it was just frightening.
I guess maybe it came over here because last night we had that.
Oh, I don't know. Well, it's gone from here anyway. I don't know where she's gone, but she's gone somewhere. They always give them a name, don't they?
Yeah, but they should give the names like Norma and Cathy.
Exactly.
Well, Norma, so good to hang with you again.
Yeah, it's lovely, and I hope I haven't bored people to death. But
you have not bored people. People have been, take it from me, people have been very interested. Anything you want to say to people before we go?
I don't know. I mean, is it all singers that have been in touch?
No, not all singers.
But, no, I mean, just enjoy the music, love it, love music, which they do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what they do. But no, I don't have any pearls of wisdom, like.
Well, that was good.
Your voice.
That was good. Love the music. I think that's a great way to end. Okay, Norma Winstone, thank you. I love you. And
Cathy Segal-Garcia.
So nice to see you and talk with you.
These lovely people that are out there.
Yeah.
I hope I get to see you sometime again.
Me too. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that tomorrow is really great, beautiful tone. Talk about a tone on a sax player. Greg Abate, I'm going to talk to. And then Wednesday, the wonderful Frank Griffith, who now lives in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's saying goodbye and to come over. And so you have at least Texas, California, New York, and Seattle, or sorry, San Francisco. Well, probably Seattle too. So see, you have a tour already.
Right. Well, let's just, all we have to do is get rid of this COVID thing and it'll be straight ahead. Oh God, I just can't, it's unbelievable, isn't it? But let's just hope that this vaccine can get us all out there again.
Yeah.
And you will have a new president.
And we'll see how that goes. Who
Well,
knows? Who knows?
it's got to be better, isn't it? We've just had
I think
Barack Obama reading from his biography. You know, his first 100 days as a president. But it's been on the radio here. He's been reading it himself.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean,
he's just such a nice man.
I loved him.
When he first won, I really felt the overall feeling of the people in the United States rise up out of apathy.
Yes.
Because it was a real person. You know, it was really, that was a really beautiful feeling. It was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's hope you can get that feeling again.
Let's hope.
It's been a bad year, bad time.
Yeah.
Anyway, love to you all, and
love to you. And please say hi to your husband and give him a hug for me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Love you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.